repaired your wristwatch.
The actual Rolex Submariner that Roger Moore wore as James Bond in Live and Let Die is hitting the block at Phillips Geneva on November 8th. I say it's a Rolex Submariner, but at this point, that's only sort of true. For the 1973 film, production designer Sid King got a hold of the watch and modified it endlessly. Think of Kane as the real-life Q. Unlike other Bond watches, including the Omegas worn by Daniel Craig in the most recent movies, this Rolex is more than a stylish accessory. Most noticeable at first glance is the unusual bezel. Kane recut the teeth to look like those on a circular saw, which Bond uses to slice through some ropes holding him hostage at a critical point in the movie. 007 is also told that his new watch can generate a strong magnetic field, and he tests the tool by using it to unzip actress Madeline Smith's dress. There's a tiny hole in the bracelet's end link where a wire could be threaded to create the effect on screen. When you open up the watch, there's just a weight inside though, no movement. Did I mention this watch doesn't actually tell time? It doesn't. It's purely a movie prop at this point. But as a consolation prize, the inside of the case back is signed by Roger Moore himself, including a little 007 after his name. Tracing provenance is everything with a watch like this, and there's no question that this one is the real deal. Whoever buys the watch will get some original production stills from the film, along with some of Kane's hand-drawn sketches for the watch's modification. At this auction, the watch is expected to fetch between $150,000 and $250,000. It turns out, not being a functioning watch is a major caveat when selling a vintage Rolex. But if you're looking for a real James Bond watch, it doesn't get any realer than this.
It's the time before we leave.
Big red, black dial, 6263 Daytona is the most desirable and the most requested vintage Rolex on the planet at the moment. Every day we have collectors clamoring for a perfect specimen. Can you find us one? Do you have one in an upcoming auction? We have one here, the centerpiece of our Rolex box and paper sale, in 100% perfect condition. The dial is flawless. That big red really pops, and what's exceptional about this one is that all the luminous plots are intact on the dial. There's no chipping, there's no missing plots. Correct original bezel insert, correct screw down pushers, and for sure what many collectors consider to be the ultimate perfect vintage Rolex sport model, the black dial, big red, screw down. Congratulations.
The one and only reference 2499 by Patek Philippe in platinum that any collector in the world can ever own is the one we're going to offer this coming November in Geneva. I'm sure every specialist in any field here in Christie's has one or two items on their list of I must once in my life have it list. This is my watch. The watch was made in 1987 in a run of 2 examples only, probably by specific request of Patek Philippe's owner, Mr. Philippe Stern. It wasn't intended for sale, but it was probably just the crowning of the longest run of the most important model in the history of Patek Philippe wristwatches. In fact, reference 2499 is considered by many collectors the single most beautiful wristwatch ever made. It was introduced in 1951, and it was the first perpetual counter chronograph wristwatch with moon faces that Patek Philippe made after the war. 2 examples were made in platinum, not for sale, but for Mr. Stern's private collection. In 1989, Patek Philippe celebrated their 150th anniversary, and part of the celebrations was a single theme auction dedicated only to Patek Philippe. It was on that occasion when Mr. Stern decided to part with one of the 2 examples he had made for himself and gave that watch to that auction. It is now an incredible emotional moment for me to have this watch from Eric Clapton, the 3rd owner since its original sale back at the Jubilee auction. This watch is more than just a watch. To many collectors, it's a myth, because it's the only white metal, in terms of platinum, 2499 reference ever available to a private, since the other example is now permanently at Patek Philippe Museum in Geneva. It is the synonym of style, mechanical complexity, elegance. It's got a perfect pace proportion, and those very typical signature design knocks, downturned with the nice little fluting on the side. The condition of the watch is spectacular. Probably only a handful of times worn by each of the 3 owners since 1989. I think this is one of the few watches which has top scores in each of the categories the collectors have.
While we're all aware that a good watch will set you back a decent amount of money, some timepieces make even a $10,000 price tag seem like chump change. Rolex used to be the gold standard of expensive watches. When you think expensive luxury car, you think Rolls-Royce. When you think expensive luxury watch, you think Rolex. But Rolex is no longer the gold standard in watches, and is nowhere near the most expensive watch on the market today. According to the Rolex website, I can buy a Rolex watch in Australia for about $6,000. However, in October 2017, Paul Newman's Rolex Daytona just became the most expensive watch ever sold at auction, selling for over $17.7 million. The reason this watch was worth so much to collectors is the story and history behind it. As it's not made out of precious metal, and it's not the most complex watch in the world either. It was given to Newman by his wife, Joanne Woodward, while he was filming the movie Winning. He then gave it to his daughter's boyfriend at the time, James Cox, with the famous quote, "If you wind it up, it keeps pretty good time." After that, the trail of the watch goes cold, until James brought it to Phillips for auction, with a portion of the proceeds going to the benefit for the Nell Newman Foundation and the Newmans Owned Foundation.
Well, without exaggeration, this is, to many here in the room, the most iconic Rolex wristwatch in the world, possibly most iconic wristwatch of the 20th century.
Now, $17.7 million is a lot of money for a watch, but is by no means the most expensive watch on the market. The title for the most expensive watch in the world goes to the Hallucination from Graf Diamonds, worth a whopping $55 million. The Hallucination features a stunning kaleidoscope of over 110 carats of extraordinarily rare coloured diamonds, set in a bracelet of platinum. The finished timepiece is a culmination of thousands of hours of work by a highly skilled team of designers, gemologists and master craftsmen. Now, you might think that $55 million is a rare one-off price tag, but if you Google search the most expensive watches in the world, you will come across various lists of watches, with the next three most expensive watches selling for $40 million, $30 million and $25 million, ranging all the way down to $1.5 million for the 18th most expensive watch in the world. What I find funny is, I still have a $20 watch I bought 10 years ago. I guess when you're rich, price tags don't mean much. Anyway, that's the end of this video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.